We are live. It is Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. Welcome to NasCanucks, presented by Viberprint, your live auto racing podcast with a Canadian spin, presented to you by Viberprint. Visit Viberprint online for all your custom printing needs. I'm Ben. This is Doug. We were at, as Clint said in the booth on Sunday, I never thought I'd say, coming out of turn 20. Although he did refer to as turn 4 twice on restarts or coming around to a start-finish line. Oh, he's coming out of 4 looking awfully loose. And that's turn 20, Clint. But more on that later. So, racing at what they call the Circuit of the Americas, which I always thought was a rather pompous name for a track.
Oh, yeah.
But yep. That's just saying, we've got the best in North America, Central America, South America. Nope. But okay, whatever. Listen, cool track, I've got to say, for a Formula One layout track. We've got Terry's 3Gs and Jeremy Smith here. He thinks Sunday was a joke. We'll get to it. What do we had? All 3 top series running. Oh, and should I just do the Indy 500 coverage right out of the way right now?
Sure, you can. I'm sitting here just trying to choose my words wisely.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to get in, the month of May continues. We had Indy 500 qualifying. It was nice. We actually had more cars than spots in the field, Doug. We love that. So there was some bumping involved. Bump day isn't what it used to be, but we had qualifying over 2 days. For some reason, my PVR is like, you don't need the first day of qualifying. I was like, you're right, because there's no bump days, and the pole wasn't set on the first day. So there we are. So I did watch the Fast 12. A couple of surprises in there, but before that, making the field, coming at 32nd of 33rd. Who would have thunk it? Will Power.
Oh yeah, wasn't he wasn't he like the last car?
And he touched the wall during his run too. And he just did not let up at all, and he managed to squeak her in. And Simona de Silvestro in the new team, I can't remember the name of the owner, but it's largely like 80% of the entire race team is female. All the engineers, crew, driver, owner. Great. I can't remember. The lady, she used to be like a vice president at one of the manufacturers. Like, she's been around automotive forever, which is great. So great to see some. But Scott Dixon on the pole went out last. Did one of those veteran, hold my beer. And he laid down the lap, and it was nice to see Emma Dixon there. The one thing you see at Indy that you don't see anywhere else, like all the drivers' wives are there, like you see in NASCAR, but they're all wearing the sundresses, and they're ready to go out on the town right out. Let's celebrate this type thing.
Because they're not allowed to do that in NASCAR, because we found that out with Dario Franchitti, and I just lost.
Ashley Judd.
That's it.
Yeah,
because she had a big fight with NASCAR.
Yeah. They're like, no, you got to wear a fire suit like Delana. She's like, I'm not wearing that.
And to go with Jeremy Smith there, he is not running any of the ovals, correct? It's just street courses.
However, I did touch on it last week. He has already done one oval test, I want to say, because he's doing a lot of testing this year. And he's like, hey, Dave Ennis, good to see you. Word has it he wants to do next year's 500. So, this year he gets a nice bird's eye view. He's going to watch it. He's part of the coverage team. I made fun of it last week. This week, you know what? I like him and Steve Letarte together. Because they were doing, they had the Hollywood Hotel type broadcast area, near Pit Road. And because they've known each other for a long time, I think that, because Jimmy's not a broadcast guy, but Jimmy is a personable guy. In that respect, he knows how to talk, but like Jeff Gordon could talk because they went to the school, how to corporate talk. So that worked. And Steve Letarte, and they were having fun, and it was fun to see. So he did say he's going to do some more oval testing this year, and later next year. Run the 500. I guess he got permission, because I think that's part of it. Because a lot of the guys that don't run the ovals, there's a reason, because it's crazy. But Yeah, so Indy 500 set, Scott Dixon with his 4th pole, ties him for 2nd all time with a few other drivers, but none of them have a 6-pack like Rick Mears.
Nope.
So it should be a good show.
Yep.
And
So,
I don't know how many poles that is for Ganassi and Ganassi.
yeah, so just some NASCAR news, and I kind of hinted with you a bit before, but there was
Did
some
you want
stuff
to do the
came down.
news now or after the race coverage?
Well, this happened before the race, so maybe should we talk about it before the race?
Okay, yeah. I thought you were going to talk
happened-
about one involving Canada, but we'll do that after.
Oh yeah, we'll do that after. Yeah. So there was some news came down, Xfinity news before the race on Friday, or before they went on Friday. It seems NASCAR went a little GTA video game style. And it seems like it's a former truck team, Xfinity team that's always in the news. And it's like they said, there's, listen to the guys that were talking about it, where like there's 3 teams. There's actually, well, no, there's Jennifer Jo Cobb, there's Norm Benning, there's Mike Harmon, who are always, one of them is always getting into something.
Yeah. They've been feuding on and off the track for years, it seems.
Apparently, one of those teams decided that they needed a new way to take the car to the dyno.
Oh.
So why put it in a hauler and take it to the dyno when, if it's just down the street in Colorado where their shop is,
well, just drive it.
Let's just drive it and put 2 other people in the car with it. I have 3 people, brilliant. 3 people in the car. So that's how they took it to the. Ended up getting pulled over by the police.
No shit.
So and that was
subtle and quiet. It's pretty obvious when you fire. Come on, Doug. You know when you hear one motor fire up in the garage area.
Yes.
You see the entire infield. All the campers like,
yes.
Prairie dogs. We're all like, it's on.
So it was Mike Harmon, his team.
Of course it was.
I
could have told you that. It wasn't Jennifer. Jennifer Jo Cobb gets the short end of the stick, and that's why she's in the news more often than not. Her shit gets stolen. She gets thrown out of races. That whatever. But Mike Harmon, he's usually stealing people's shit.
Well, he's the one that stole Jennifer Jo Cobb's hauler with her truck in it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. I am not okay now, and I will say the cop would have let him go if it was just him or one person, strapped in, buckled in, if you will.
I could see it. Them getting away with it in Mooresville. In
yeah,
any
but
of those places like
only
that.
One guy, because the seatbelts, safety wise. But you got 2 people just hanging on to roll bars,
and
going,
you're in Colorado, and you're in Denver. You're now the only race team there. Furniture Row is no longer there.
Yeah.
So that's
okay.
That's how his weekend started off.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us into the trucks. What do we have going on the trucks? We got to see practice and qualifying.
How nice was practice and qualifying?
Well, I'm a big believer it should be mandatory at all tracks for, variety of reasons, rookies, and it promotes, guess what? New teams. What a concept. Hey, Keith. And so, the truck, watch practice. I watch qualifying. We had different conditions throughout. I did like Andy Lally up in the booth.
Yes, because they had
that's what we heard. Apparently, the corners can get slimy, Doug.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
Nice. Dave's a fan of car number 19. So is Doug.
And so is Jeremy Smith. Am I correct?
And so is Jeremy Smith. Yeah, it's a little bias in this chat. Just saying. Yeah, and so the race got going. And you know what? For those who don't know, I'm a big fan of cars that don't belong on road courses. And then there's road courses. How do you explain it, Doug? There's road courses like Watkins Glen, your kind of super speedway course that's designed for all forms of motorsport, whether it be open wheel or closed wheel. Mid-Ohio, another example of that. But then you have your more Formula One centric tracks, which even I'm going to throw Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on because for those who don't know, my Uncle Lang raced motorcycles, and he held the track record for a number of years on a motorcycle at Mosport. And he said, I don't know how anyone races a car here. Because he would go out there alone in his car, and he's like, this track's too narrow to race cars. And he's even talking small European cars. So, and then NASCAR, as general, hold my beer, which they proved this weekend, because we had Andy Lally, a veteran driver at that track in a variety of formula.
Even he said that he's drove that track in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, like in a different formula, people will say, or different series, different, whatever you want to call it. I like formula. That's a road racing thing. And he's like pointing out, you can pass here, here, and here. You don't fucking pass here. Well, what did we see? People passing there. Oh, because especially in the rain, because the rain, really, every corner is a passing opportunity depending on how bad the guy in front of you screws up. So there's that potential, and you have to drive it that way. Yeah, Andy did an amazing job. Actually, he had put out a post on Facebook, so I had commented on how well he did, and it was funny, after he said slimy for the 20th time, he's like, yeah, I know, I've been saying slimy a lot. I'm like, yeah, you have. Because it's not a NASCAR term. But it was, he did really well up there. And I'm sure my sister, if she watched the Xfinity race, was pulling for him in the Xfinity race, having A-Team as a sponsor. I was like, does he have the A-Team on the rear quarter? I'm like, nice. Because why not?
Yes.
Who ended up winning the truck race?
That would be Todd Gilliland, David Gilliland's son.
Right. You know what?
Because they're really, other than that,
well, like I say, it was, because before I got sidetracked, I'm a big fan of, cars that don't belong on these things, so I was a huge fan of the Mexico Xfinity race, Montreal race. I absolutely loved that, because I remember Pinty's series and CASCAR before that running on Formula One weekend and just causing a shit show. The same way they caused a shit show on the streets of Exhibition Place circuit, during the Molson Indies. Great action, because they don't belong on stuff like that. Let's get the trucks switched over to the Molson Indy weekend maybe one year.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And Toyota, who's big into the trucks, would be all into that, Doug, because now that it's the Honda Indy, wouldn't you love a Toyota truck winning a support race during the Honda Indy weekend?
Well, of course. Of course.
So, yeah, the truck, Gilliland, that was a good race. He he did well. We saw a lot of action, different track conditions. It all became a blur of rain and not rain, except for the Cup race, which was just rain and more rain and less rain and more rain.
Yeah. Well,
scattered showers.
The Xfinity race Saturday afternoon, there wasn't a whole lot of rain there either, from what I remember.
No, they started it. That was interesting. Yeah, that was the one. They started it as a wet race. But then guys were doing the debate similar in Cup, which, hey, we'll talk about that pre-race pit stop stupidity, but whatever. So yeah, the Xfinity, it was that cool factor of the, and the teams love it. Like how excited it was, dude. They were excited for this weekend as they were for the Bristol Dirt Race weekend. Because they're like, like you had the guys in the booth on, the Sunday drivers on Saturday in the booth going, I hope it rains because we just, we're already at a wild card. Let's make it even wilder. We love the unknown, because it's not a cookie cutter mile and a half strategy race, and the crew chiefs love it because they get to do extra strategizing with the pits and fuel strategies and off sequence on. You get to use all those IndyCar terms, like, are we in the window of the cycle and what? Does he need gas? That's what we need to know. But
yes,
so we got into Xfinity and we had a lot of double dippers in the Xfinity.
Yeah, we actually had 7 cars go home.
7 cars. Yeah. How? No, 7 in trucks. We had 7 in trucks. Yeah, we did have 2 or 3 in.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because there was 7 of the regulars went home, and there was like 9 invaders came in. So it was like
yeah. Well, like Spencer Pompelli. There you go, Michael Waltrip. It's not Pempali. And poor Adam Alexander, he's saying it correctly every time and saying it louder into the mic. Like, take a hint, Mike. Yeah. He's like, oh, I can't believe that, Andy Lally speaks highly. I'm like, yeah, because I remember watching sports car racing his own team 15 years ago, when Speed Vision would show, and then later Speed would show all those SCCA classes, and all those guys would run 4 classes a weekend, right? So,
speaking of Speed, remind me, I have something to say after when we're done all this.
It's nice to see Harvick back in the Xfinity Series. That'd have been a minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's he? I kept thinking at first, it was such a throwback that I just you see Kevin Harvick in a number 5. I just assumed it was a JR Motorsports car,
Yeah.
Because I see a number 5. I think it's JR Motorsports. So, and I don't even think twice that Kevin would be driving Chevy because of the years of him driving, like for JRM when he drove for RCR and stuff like that. So, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's a Ford. That's a Ford. Right. The same as later Sunday, Cindric in the 33, that's a Ford. I'm like, I keep saying, isn't that a Childress car?
Yes. So so Saturday afternoon became the Kyle Busch stink up the show afternoon.
Yep. Every lap he led on Saturday, I thought his chances were improving Sunday because I'm like, it's going to be another one of those weekends. And so Kyle Busch ended up winning the show, which was, another number 98.
Yep.
Hate him all you want. It's number 98, And as I said to Doug off air, he made what some would consider a cocky remark, but the way we see it, he backs it all up. And they said, how does it feel to win at COTA? And he says, I really wish I won at Montreal while I had the chance. And now some people think that's cocky, but when you've won at every other road course on the circuit in the series, you're going to have 100 wins plus wins in the series. Nobody would fault any Hall of Famer for saying a line like that, and I think finally, everybody gets it, the haters hate him and they're going to hate him regardless, but
that's fine.
Yeah. Like me, I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, but I definitely don't hate him. I respect him, and he did it. He put it together that day, kind of weird with the M&M's fire suit driving the Skittles car, but sure. I'm and like the guys in the booth said, I wouldn't mind trying some of those Skittles gummies too. They look good. So I'm just saying, I'm like, damn, So which brings us into the Cup Series. Dude, the shit show started on Saturday for the Cup Series. Why? Because there's a half hour left in the practice session, and AJ Allmendinger hasn't been through tech for the first time yet.
Oh, I know.
Like, how many times does that have to happen? Like, open the garage at 6 a.m., you morons. Like, do what you need to do or delay practice. Like, everybody should be teched before the green flag drops on a practice session. Because, you know what? That is the man keeping the small teams down, Doug.
What that is that they had to do they did the qualifying, the truck qualifying early Saturday morning. Yeah. Then they did the Xfinity qualifying. I think that qualifying should have been done maybe Friday.
Yep.
Right? So that's
the trucks. The trucks get, sure, do Xfinity, qualifying, truck race, then Xfinity race, even, type thing. That's fine. But like I say, it's the man keeping the small teams down because you go through tech based on points. So a new team that, again, the off chance you get to actually practice with a new team and they have no chance to get out on the track, that's just for, if anything, it should be reverse points. Because if you're leading in the points, how much do you need practice versus the guy who's running 40th in the points? Hey, Eddie Van Haskell.
Yeah, and it's just...
That just annoys me. So that was, and it's not like I'm a big AJ Allmendinger fan. Like, again, he is who he is. He's a guy. I'm becoming more of a fan of colleague racing the more that I'm familiar with them. I really like, because they've decided, like, I can see that they want to have 4 Cup, 4 Xfinity, 4 trucks. That's going to be the dream. They want the full domination situation.
Yeah.
And I am all for fresh blood in the series.
And I've heard Chris Rice talking a bunch of times, and he just seems like a cool guy to hang out with as well too.
Yeah, exactly. Which goes, all about the hang. That's the personality thing. So we start the race on Sunday. Shit show before they drop the green because, hey, you all want to switch to slicks if you want the option? Everyone's like, well, there's a big storm coming, but it's not for 5 laps. So yeah, we want tires. Okay, sure.
So,
your boy did a smart decision and just left his tires on.
It was like 4 of them that did that. So Allmendinger did that, Truex. I forget who else.
Hamlin, I thought.
Hamlin.
McDowell. And one other. But
how about they make the switch and then one guy just takes off, leaves everyone behind.
Well, this is what I just say.
And he leaves the slicks on.
This kid for a full year of NasCanucks. Austin Cindric moved up in my books because he said, "Hold my beer." Not only did he drive on slicks, you saw him after. They still had the nipples on him. Like they haven't even taken the sheen off.
They were trying to call him in too, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah, literally those. Other than the fronts, the outsides were just down a bit. But you still have the center bead that, Doug, half the time that, at Darlington, that's worn off just wheeling her onto pit road, right? But
that's because he's gone road racing like this all over the world. How many times do we hear that?
Well,
on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but let's call it really what it was, because it's not like he ran Canadian, Jacques Villeneuve. Coming up through the years, he raced for 2 years in Japan. He raced for 2 years Formula England. He ran 2, whereas Austin was cherry picking races throughout the world, like the ultimate, like we do, like your Josh Berry is going to run the Snowball Derby, the Slinger 500, all those crown jewel late model races. That's what Austin was able to do globally because he's got a PhD. So, yeah. Well, yeah, Eddie, I understand that.
So then
that way, you know what? That was a great entertaining first segment. I don't care who you're rooting for. If your driver got screwed over, spun out himself, just watching Austin Cindric, a kid out there. It's like when Denny Hamlin was a rookie at Darlington and just went out and started whipping the field right off the bat. And they're like, he's a kid. He doesn't know any better. That's why he's driving so fast. Yep. That was Austin. He's just like, I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, so that came down to your guy in the first stage. Did he win the first stage?
No.
I
don't think so, no.
Okay.
No,
that's right, because they did that weird thing. Everybody pitted with 3 laps to go.
Yeah.
Right. Which I was how short are these races when, I tune into the truck race, it's 41 laps. I'm like, what? I'm like, stage, right? And they're like,
it's
no,
almost
the whole
like
race.
a 3-mile long track.
Well, then you realize, it's 20 turns. I'm like, damn, these are like 2.5, 3-minute laps. Okay.
Yeah.
But, But it was, the first part of the race, we had the drizzle kind of situation, we'll call it. Clint dared say, and you saw the map because here's the track, and you saw the weather pattern just doing this, which was baffling everybody, including Larry Mack. And then Clint's like, screw it. Is it the vortex? And Jeff, shut up. I had to put up with that for years. Shut up with the damn vortex. And Clint just said it. Just piss off Jeff.
Yes.
But, and I should mention, and I mentioned you off air, up until late in the race, throughout the weekend, we finally got to hear Jeff Gordon, the racer. Not Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR ambassador, Hendrick Motorsports fanboy, but the racer, because he was able to relate driving in the rain in the Daytona 24, other races, and it just came across. It reminded me the way Kurt Busch is in the booth. Just that realism, and Clint was going along with it, and you could tell Clint was getting a little more serious too. And it was great to have Clint in the booth for the Roval in the rain experience. He's like,
Yes.
I've driven this car. I've driven this tire. I know exactly what's going on there. And that was great. And we got to throw out a special shout out to Mike Joy because he did the old drop the mic on the first practice session because Jeff and Clint had never turned a lap at Coda.
Yes,
Mike
that's
Joy
right.
raced there though.
Yes.
So he had all the experience, and that was just burning Clint to death. He's like, "Come on, Jeff, we got to get a roll car. So we can't let Mike here be the veteran. We got to start calling the race then." You know?
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah. So then after that, we had the first of the.
Jeremy, only this weekend so far.
Yeah.
Because usually he's just a Hendrick Motorsports fanboy in the booth. And he's afraid to say anything bad.
Well, because he's like number 2. He's like, as soon as Rick retires, which is
but even towards NASCAR itself, he's like the NASCAR fanboy as much as the Hendrick fanboy, like Michael Waltrip, fanboy of everything, and it just becomes gag. At least Clint's keeping him more honest this year because you don't have Daryl, the original Hendrick Motorsports fanboy, up there. Yeah. And I can say that, lifelong Daryl fan. Doug knows I've stalked Daryl on multiple occasions. So
more on that in a few minutes. So then became the first shit show of the day, the Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick issue.
Yeah, which we never really saw why Kevin stopped as much as we know there was something happened in front of him, but. And that was right at the point where we were getting the rooster tails really bad. Well, not even rooster tails, but just the hanging mist, which again reminded me a lot of Montreal. Remember Montreal going into the hairpin in Montreal, the Robbie Gordon incidents, multiple.
Yes,
among other things. Patrick Carpentier, did I say that? Yep. So we're seeing that. Harvick. I didn't know at first what was up because. That's right, because we saw basically the crash was brought to us in reverse because we first saw Blaney with a torn up right rear quarter, and we didn't know what it was because everybody's coming out of that wreck because we were looking at turn 12.
Yeah, who was it that wrecked? Who did he wreck with now? Was it Dylan?
No. Was it the 41? Cole Custer?
The 41, possibly, yes.
Yes, that was the first, because that was the first.
Yeah.
So... And then all of a sudden we see Newman's wrecking, and then we see Harvick kind of stopped, and all of a sudden Harvick's looking at the asphalt, and then Clint's like, "Geez, what the hell happened there?" And
that's the hard thing.
My first thought was Harvick being a veteran the way he is. I thought Harvick got scared, and locked up. That was my first, and I thought, I hate that because. I know it happens to veteran drivers because they've admitted it years after.
And the hard thing was they kept cutting to that camera on top of the car. You can't see nothing off that anyway.
No, they might as well be using those bumper cams, which were just as useless. So so he got run over by Bubba Wallace. You know what? I'm not faulting anybody in this race of running over anybody or anybody stopping at this point because there was zero visibility when we were seeing the. In cars or anything like that, my immediate thought was it was like driving in a snowstorm on the 401. You can see
because no one had the. I don't think anyone had the visor cam, so you couldn't see out where there's actually some guys that actually had the wipers that worked. Some had the wipers that weren't sure if they wanted to work.
Right.
Some had the ones that just didn't work.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure you will agree with me on this. We gotta agree with Clint. Penske had the wiper situation figured out.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
So Garnt Brothers did not.
No.
But
Harvick said he's never been that scared in a car before. Like that was just absolutely stupid. So
exactly. And Bubba was too upset to talk to the media. And I get it because he's probably blaming himself as much as blaming the track condition. Like who knows what he's but he's upset. I get it. I was really surprised. You know what? I'm going to say NASCAR should be thanking their fucking stars that Tony Stewart wasn't still racing. Because if that had been Tony Stewart that got run over, Well, we know he would have had at least one $50,000 fine and might have missed this coming weekend's Coke 600.
Yeah.
So, a lot of guys bit their tongues on that. And then,
so if that wasn't a reason to just stop and kind of assess the situation, there was another hold your beer moment where we kind of disagree on this one as well too. But
at that point, we armchair quarterbacking. We're like, NASCAR should have done something because of what we saw later happen. I'm of the personal opinion, yes, there was enough standing water. It's a situation. They've done it before. It's easy. They do have the master channel to speak to all the drivers. Because remember when the field got the timeout in New Hampshire? Because NASCAR just overrode all radios and said, "Park it, boys," and then chewed them all out. Which that was a boys have at it day. God, I missed that day. That was awesome. Like, holy shit, NASCAR just parked the field. I've never seen NASCAR park the field before. Yeah. And, they should have said, like, hey, what's it like out there? And look at the footage. And I think at that point, honestly, I wouldn't have faulted NASCAR if they'd gone to the single file restart at that point, which they've done in previous races, in various series. We did the single file restart at Bristol with the dirt for a similar visibility thing, right? Yep. So we have the precedent for those who don't like new spur of the moment. You know what? I don't know about you, Doug, but I applaud sanctioning bodies that do flip the switch on the fly. If it and you say especially if it makes sense, but they're trying, like anybody else. And
as Dale Jr. says, everyone should be used to it now because that's what the admins and the iRacing do. If they don't like the way you're doing something, they change everything right then.
Perfect. Yeah. There we are.
So then it becomes that whole
3,400 pound, I believe, Jeremy. 35, I think.
It then we get the hold your beer. We're gonna make it even worse when the moving chicane slows down the 34
because of the two.
And if you looked, it was like 0.77 of a second from when you seen the light come on.
Yeah.
When you could see McDowell to when Truex hit him.
Yeah. Like, right? The only fault I'm going to give McDowell is he probably didn't need to slow down quite as much. And I say quite because judging from the back angles, we saw back in the 10 was driving 20 miles an hour faster than, but still 50 less than everyone else. But the 10 was a little bit faster. Like say the 2 had slowed down in front of the 34. The 34 overreacted because he thought, I ain't pulling a Harvick. And he ended up pulling a Harvick.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, scary situation.
Oh yeah, and then Custer plows the hammers in the back of Truex. And Truex's radio. They didn't play Truex's radio on the TV, but he was like, I almost effing died there. And it's
and he did the right thing. As stupid looking as it may have been on the track at the brief moment was him driving with the hood, over the front. But as he said was, I couldn't stop because I knew I was going to get run over if I did. Yeah. And so he was slowing down, but unfortunately, and I will say the 41, it was the 41, right? Custer?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was going by far the fastest because you look way back. He passed 5 cars before he hit Martin.
So also in listening to I listened to the door bumper clear guys today,
which they should have thrown the caution by that point, anyways.
Because I wanted to see for sure. But I wanted to see what
the moment Martin hit the 34. There's the caution.
Had to say so. They were actually positioned in that corner, facing that coming onto them.
Right.
So for them spotting,
you can't see anything.
They couldn't see the cars coming.
No.
And the other issue that they brought up was that they weren't happy with was teams had their regular spotters, but there was also some of the teams when they went and tested there said we need to have 3 to 4 spotters.
Yeah. So they had
NASCAR went and said you can have 2 to 3 spotters. That's all you need. And so they had their one regular spotter. Some teams had guys spotting that had never spotted a NASCAR race before in their life.
Yep.
Which totally asinine. But yeah, like
speaking of which,
they were saying there was-
one spotter I saw was it said Frank Kimmel II, which I do believe. Did Frank Kimmel's son was Frank that raced briefly and then didn't race? You know
I
what I
think
mean?
so. Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, which is great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, Jeremy.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that. I was losing my mind elsewhere.
Yes, you
when
were.
that happened. But yeah.
Yeah, like NASCAR should have thrown the caution as soon as Martin hit, because that was a blatant, like, there's no coming back from that, folks. You know what I mean? Like,
No. Yeah.
Well, and we saw it happen basically live. I will say, yeah, NASCAR was a little hesitant for cautions all weekend, which I get because it's road racing. NASCAR
But
really
then
needs to get up
they
on
also
the
said that
local
they were going to
caution.
have the just like the I forget the word for the caution now, but just those the kind of
The local caution.
That's it.
Yeah,
we're going to have those, but we didn't see those at all.
Dude, NASCAR instituted local cautions 20 years ago, got rid of them, brought them back. Apparently, I don't know, they're kind of like small weed laws prior to legalization. Have just like, oh, we didn't see it. There's no yellow. Yeah, local cautions are a great. You know what? They could have solved a lot of that issue with that backstretch just by local cautioning that backstretch. Proceed with caution. You get down to the hairpin. Bob's your uncle. You're back to green.
Yeah.
You could do that. But, it was interesting. It was almost like Jeff was predicting the future in the booth, because he's like, they should get out the Air Titans and go single file restart.
Yeah. And then that's what NASCAR did.
Yeah.
And then they put in that, and then it looked like Kyle Busch was going to take over the show, like we all thought he would. And then we find out that him and the Wonder Boy were 2 laps short each.
Right. And a couple, I think Hamlin too, wasn't it? I think he was on that thing. Strategy. That's it. The fuel strategy.
I think it was almost just those 2 guys. But anyway, so they're waiting, and then Kyle
we got
pits.
To see the threading of the needle of the race.
Well, yeah, Kyle pits, and then that puts Wonder Boy in the lead. He's got a 14-second lead, and
decides to go for it rather than save it.
I will get into my Facebook. See Jeremy Smith. I'll get into my Facebook. Discussion with somebody in a bit here, but then
we got to see Kurt Busch locks up the wheels, and
he locked up more than his wheels.
We saw a massive 3-car collision that didn't happen because really he could have tagged the front end of Austin Dillon and the rear end of Kyle Busch, but somehow there was never an opening. The whole, literally, if he was a thousandth of a second earlier or later, he would have tagged one or the other.
You couldn't have put a piece of paper between any of those 3 cars.
No, and all I could think of is you're going into a hairpin, Austin Dillon, and just as you're turning in, Doug, there goes a flat back Monster Energy just right through, and you're thinking,
and he's hydroplane, and he can hardly do anything with that car because he's just
exactly. And Austin's already close enough to Kyle Busch in front of him, thinking, I hope I don't run Kyle over. He didn't even think about Kurt, And the whole time you're thinking, and those guys, they will run those big, like the size of a computer screen for a rearview mirror. As you're driving in, even though you're looking at that apex and that hair, what the hell was that? Because you would just like was like a ghost in the car. Like
I've got to say that Kurt, he probably puckered up pretty good.
I don't even think his eyes were open, Doug.
I think he puckered up so big, he's not going to poop for a week.
Nope.
He's that ain't opening at all.
Dude, if he's farting, only dogs are hearing it.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and then now, but then even while puckered, having the wherewithal to, once he gets in the gravel, I'm not going to stop there. I'm hammering the gas to get onto that grass to do the spin, and then he takes the grass.
Well, because I think, unlike any of the guys in the booth all weekend, Kurt's smart enough to realize he has treads on his tires. Because Clint's like, everyone in the gravel, I can't believe they're getting out. Why? It's packed gravel, and they have treaded tires. It doesn't take much momentum to get out of that stuff. These are professionals, folks. So then, I'm noticing the rooster tails getting bigger.
Well, Austin
every lap.
Cindric spun. Austin Cindric spun on that back stretch as well too, or whatever place that was. So then that's when NASCAR threw the caution, and then
well, he probably flooded the motor when he spun at that point because you could see the sheets of water rolling out from under the cars.
And then the amazing Kreskin again says NASCAR needs to stop this race now. They need to end this race now.
Of course. Yeah. All of a sudden.
Yeah. Because the one guy, and
yeah.
For me, it looked like after that, just after they called it, it looked like they did the interviews, there was no rain. And some of the guys, and they talked to some of the other drivers too, and they were like, you know what? It was bad, but we could have finished the last 14 laps.
Yeah.
With the single.
I'm of the opinion, we've seen a lot of people win rain shortened races. You know what? Like,
it's too suspicious.
Yeah.
You need that one guy to win. They're on a road course. Hendrick needs that win to surpass Chevy's 800 win. It's a big race.
I'm not putting on my foil hat for that one. Just because you can just easily steal a win if, like David Rudiman, his first win was the Coke 600 when he just stayed out and then the track let go, and then they call it. You can win races that way. We've seen where guys get wins a rain short race where they just take the lead, handful of laps, caution, race end, and he hadn't led all day. And
but he wasn't going to make it though.
No,
he was still 2 laps short.
Yeah,
which I got into a little bit of an argument.
He had already saved that fuel. He wouldn't have had to pit. He had that fuel saved under caution.
There was no caution. They did one
before
lap.
They red flagged it. They ran a couple caution laps there.
No, they ran one.
Well, that's enough.
It's a 3-mile track.
Yeah.
No.
Dude,
you only 2 laps short. He was 2 laps short.
Right. And you save fuel 3-1 on caution laps.
He still would have needed to come in.
And then got the laps to go around for the restart. He would have saved enough fuel. I'm not saying he would have been able to do a burnout after he crossed the start line. Well, he wouldn't have made it around on the cooldown lap.
But anyway.
But also, I'm not saying he would have won. I'd say he had enough fuel. He still would have had the worn out tires with a whole field of fresh tires behind him. So chances are it would have been that McDowell in stage 1 situation all over again. So, and let's be honest, with our luck, Austin Cindric or Joey Logano would have ended up winning it anyways. We'd be like, fuck. So it would have been a dick anyways. You know what I will say, though? You probably noticed throughout the race, the field was just scattered. Like, it looked like literally a random draw to start the race because it was like star, mid-packer, backpack guy, road course ringer, up front guy. It was just so scattered. The whole, I loved Corey LaJoie running top 10 half the day. And earning it. Allgaier again with a great run throughout the race. He was running top 10 a lot of the day.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the cup race though.
Not Allgaier. Busher, same thing. Fucking short, blonde hair, whatever. Same age. Yeah. They're all cookie cutters.
The only good thing about the idiot Wonder Kid winning is that we are one more winner close
to the 34
not making the playoffs.
Well, there you go.
We need 15 winners and Denny to stay far out in front and not have a win to get that 16th spot, and we're fine.
Well, I will say...
we do need 16 winners. We need the 16 winners plus Denny to not win.
There we go. I will say Michael McDowell does have his place in the series because I was thinking about this mid-race.
Xfinity series.
At some point over the last, I don't know, as long as I've been watching NASCAR, I think pretty much, well, maybe not in the 80s. Hey, sis. Shout out. I'll show Sis the car she would have been rooting for. You would have been rooting for her friend Andy Lally this weekend in the Xfinity race, Sis. Come on, turn. His car was sponsored by the A-Team. So there you go. I had to have that just in case you did tune in. So at one point, at any given time, Doug, like NASCAR has always had a bit of what Indy 500 claims. We have the best drivers from all over. NASCAR has always had, like we've always had a couple quote unquote open wheel invaders, right? Wash good Indy guys, if you want to call it that. But there's always been a Trans Am / sports car guy. Michael McDowell's that guy right now. Prior to that, we had Scott Pruitt for a number of years. Boris Said did it full time for a while. Like there's someone else I'm missing between Scott Pruitt and Michael McDowell though. Damn it. Who was it? Anyway, but there's always been, someone coming over from that discipline to run. So unlike you, I've been following him a long time.
They want to talk about different drivers who, because they haven't been winning, they shouldn't be there. One win in 14 years.
Michael Waltrip?
Michael McDowell.
Same thing.
Waltrip's got 2 at least. Anyway.
Yeah, they came at the end of his career.
McDowell ain't far.
No, he's not.
So, anyway, on to bigger and better things. On to the greatest place to see the race, Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend.
So you want to do the preview, or do you want to talk about the news first?
Oh, sorry, no. We'll do the news first. We'll do the breaking news this afternoon.
Yeah, breaking news this afternoon.
About 3:30, it came down.
The truck race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on Labor Day weekend is not happening. So instead, you said they moved the race to Darlington's already been announced?
Darlington. So they will run it early Sunday afternoon, Labor Day weekend.
Nice.
So they're doing that. So it'll be a truck race at noon, cup race at 6.
Perfect. I'm down. Works for me. Yep. And you know what? I like that instead of, we're going to Texas or California. Like instead of a long haul, it's a much shorter. We know how long that haul is because we do that haul.
Yes.
We know what it entails. So that's great to see. That it's going to Darlington, I did want to touch on, it was mentioned over the course of the race weekend, aggregates. The fact that COTA uses a very aggressive aggregate. What's aggregate, Ben? Well, aggressive aggregate is like that old worn out parking lot that looks all just gravel, but it's technically asphalt. Whereas as opposed to your beautiful brand new flat top like Charlotte, where you can't even see the rocks necessarily. It's super smooth, super slick, and I don't like it because you got to bring a tire to those tracks. Otherwise, they blister. I like the aggressive aggregate track, and I was kind of surprised to hear of a track built for Formula One that was built with that kind of an aggressive aggregate. Like usually we reserve those conversations for your Atlantas, your Darlingtons, your Homesteads, even.
So, yeah.
So, I like it. That's what I want to say. I like tracks that are like that worn out track that uses up tires. And the track we learned this weekend, that track has teeth. I like tracks with teeth.
Yes.
Like my women, I like them with teeth.
So before we go, should we do a little bit of a preview?
Yes, because it's our home track race.
Trivia time for you.
Yes.
This day, 8 years ago, what happened?
All right, so 8 years ago would have been 2013.
Yes. What happened?
What day of the week would it have been? Can I have that much of a hint?
It was a Saturday.
I won the Xfinity pools.
You probably did. But we could say the single greatest day ever.
That was that day.
No, it's not that. No, it's not that.
No, that was the Saturday.
Not for me. Up until a certain point, it was probably the greatest day ever. Would you like another hint?
That was where we went on our 3-hour tour.
The 3-hour tour. This. The day that we were on trackside.
Yep.
On Speed TV.
Yep.
Just walking along. We get like pit passes.
Yep.
Walking along, we find that, oh, look, trackside is on. And who's going to be on trackside? Oh, it's going to be Bobby Allison.
Yep.
Dale Inman.
Yep. Because it's the Hall of Fame show.
And Darryl Waltrip.
Right.
And yeah.
Who I got this close to stalking that day. That was one of the stalking tales of Darryl Waltrip.
And I don't have a picture for you.
Me with my terrible hair hanging with Danny Coker.
That and you with the lucky dog hat.
With the lucky dog hat. Yeah, because we did the whole fan experience.
There is me with Danny Coker.
There you go. Yeah, I had quite the chat with him. That was crazy.
But he was coming up to Trenton for a car show. Brighton. Well,
yeah, Applefest
close enough.
Car show. Yeah, and actually, no. He had been there the previous year. That's what it was. He had been there the previous year.
I thought he was going up that year.
No, that year, because the next year they sent.
Because you'd almost tried to talk him into buying your dad's car.
Well, because you remembered the car.
Yes.
That was the thing, because I'm like, remember this car? Car show? And he's like, brother, I go to a lot of car shows, because Danny's Danny. And I went, Brighton, Ontario, Canada, Applefest. He goes, that car was right across from my autograph station. I'm like, yep. Because that's what Dad hated, because everyone was all around his car all day. Because Danny was there.
Yeah.
And I said, how many fingerprints end up on that car? Because the lineup's for you. He goes, I'm a talker. I know the lineup skipped it. Meanwhile, Kevin's like, come on, Danny, we got to go. You're on TV.
Yeah.
CSS.
So that was.
So we will do a deep dive. We did almost an hour this week.
Yeah, we're probably next week will be another hour show.
It'll be an hour show because we'll do a deep dive because it is our home track. It's our home away from home. The Coke 600 weekend. You know what? Even if it was open, things were open, Doug, I wouldn't have gone this year that the All-Star race isn't there. Just because that length, you got to go for the full 2 weeks to make it worth that hassle of a drive. Hey, Blackjack Guitar.
Yeah, I've done the weekend. Oh, we did the weekend the first couple times.
We did. Yeah, we did the first 3 years.
We can still get, because we can get in the campground on the Wednesday morning. You can still do Wednesday to Monday.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. But I would even do Wednesday to Tuesday. What I mean?
Nothing.
Well, not even Tuesday, but take the Monday and Tuesday to drive back. So because we're so burnt out, that drive back seems like hell.
Well, our Wednesday to Monday is even better than we usually do because we're down there for the 2 weeks.
Yeah,
almost 2 weeks. The drive back the last couple of times has sucked.
Yeah,
just because of who won the race.
Well, there's that.
I wasn't feeling the best.
And I wasn't there.
Well, the one time you were, weren't you?
Not after we stopped going for 2 weeks. Because you just fly down then. You're Mr. VIP. You just fly in for the race.
Yeah, but you were there for the first Truex win, though, weren't you?
Yeah, the domination situation.
That was a rough ride home.
That was a fun night.
Thank God.
All I know is,
thank God there's no pictures. There's no pictures.
We had a driver to drive our asses basically back to the border. Because you and I just sat in the back seat of the truck. We were both hurt.
No, because she couldn't drive the trailer.
No. Because Bull drove it most of the way.
That wasn't that year.
That was the next year?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could have used it. That was a delicate next morning.
Yep. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, and it's yeah. Thank God there's no pictures of that night. The first time the 2X dominated.
Oh, I was ripped that night.
You were ripped.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. No, because you decided to let loose, and I'm like, let's go for the ride, cuz. And we were both of us.
I spent most of the night in Victory Lane, but
and the thing was, General, we had that running joke, like when the wrong person came up, you'll say, well, he's the bad one or he's the worst one. We were both the worst one that night.
Pina colada flavored moonshine.
When you finally
embraced not your friend.
Yeah,
is not your friend.
Because prior to that, you had drank White Lightning with me once for my birthday.
Well, there was that.
And then you and I got into that jar of blueberry the one night, and we polished off a whole jar of blueberry.
No, I didn't. No, I wouldn't have done blueberry. I'm not a blueberry guy. It all started with that damn peach that first year down there.
Yeah, but you would never touch just the straight White Lightning. But there was, maybe it was some apple pie at Mike's. You and I one night at Mike's.
It was apple pie, yeah.
Okay, yeah. You and I, we killed a jar of apple pie, and then you discovered the pina colada. Because I remember I walked over, you're sitting there with your hand around a mason jar of what looked like milk. Yeah. And I come over and I sit down, and I was about to give you the business. I'm like, what do we got going on here? And you just gave me a smile. And I went, oh. And I said, what you got there, dog? You went, pina colada. It's pretty good. I'm like, huh? Yeah. I'm not a pina colada guy, but it's pretty good.
Dangerous stuff.
Yep.
But yeah.
Jet fuel. So, we'll have a deep dive on that next week. I don't think of any news notes. Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything that needed to be covered. Yep. The cars don't need to be washed after this weekend's racing.
Sorry?
The cars don't need to be washed after this weekend's racing.
No.
Gravel might need to be cleaned out of some of them.
So practice and qualifying again this weekend.
Yep. Oh, and a heavy weekend because all 3 series are running this weekend.
Plus ARCA.
Yeah. And ARCA. That's right. Yes. Because you may take away the All-Star race, but you're not taking away the other support races.
No.
So they just condense one. Now, if there was a weekend to go just the Wednesday through Monday, this would be the year for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We gotta track down another ARCA race shop. We've only been to one.
That one's gone. Because that one is gone.
Yeah, well, that one. Well, it's moved anyways. I assume Schrader Racing is still in business somewhere.
I'm gonna guess probably Missouri someplace.
Hard to say, yeah.
But, yeah. So who are you going with this weekend?
Good question. I did predict the winner this previous weekend, but I didn't predict the way it was going to go down. That's for sure. Yeah. What? It's been a minute since we've done a mile and a half. Type thing. Like we haven't had that. Oh, geez, Doug, it's been 6 weeks in a row of mile and a half. I guess your boy still has the momentum oval wise, I guess, but you know what? Kurt Busch might drive the wheels off because he's still puckered right up.
He could. You know what? This is James Small's second time back at Charlotte. I think he's going to take the lessons from Cole, and
well, you realize this is 7 weeks in a row. You're sounding awfully fanboy. Seven weeks in a row. You've rooted for the same guy.
If the glass slipper fits, I'm going to wear it. But hopefully he'll do like last time.
Twice of these predictions?
3 times.
Yeah, but not 3 in the last 6 races he's won.
No. But no, I think
right. He thinks he's going to be predicting Martin to win the race every week the rest of the year.
Yeah, whatever. But he's
That's
got
true,
the he's got the same paint scheme that he won with the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to go with that.
Well, you know what? Like, I keep going back to Hamlin a lot because he's due in many ways. But honestly, has Hamlin really been dominant since he ran out of gas the first year we were down there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm like the guys that predict him as the champion every year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Yeah, you could.
I think I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. I don't know why. I just got a feeling, gut feeling. Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's wrong. I think it's going to be a pretty good race.
I'm just going to say
stages all the way through.
It is just going to be this again this weekend. Yes, that is the picture I took, and I have many more.
Do you think Kevin Harvick's going to ever win another race?
I don't know.
Because all of a sudden it happens, right? They just stop winning, and he's 45. Is Ryan Newman going to win another race? Because the writing's on the wall for him. One other guy, I wonder if he's going to win another race. Who was the other one? Brad Keselowski.
I think he will. Once he becomes an owner, I think he will.
Yeah. That's true too, Terry.
And as we are signing off, I will again, as always, gladly say that I am not hungover. Walking through the Charlotte Douglas Airport, looking at this. That is a wall, a moving wall at the Charlotte Douglas Airport.
Well, it could be worse.
When you're all hungover, that's not what you want to be walking alongside.
I don't have it anymore, but you remember I had a Daytona souvenir checkered flag?
Yes.
Okay. So I had checkered flag, Daytona logo in the middle of it. Well, it's on a piece of dowel, so it doesn't fit in my luggage. So I'm carrying my duffel bag through the airport at Daytona with the flag, top of the bag. Put the bag down, waiting in line, for boarding, check in. Back when you checked in for boarding. And I got one of these on the shoulder. And I turned around. It was a nice lady, right 50-ish. She said, "Oh, did you win yesterday?"
Yes, I did.
Yep. It's just like, really? Meanwhile, my cousin, who, flirts and races the bikes and stuff, it's just like, what about me? Like, you don't have a checkered flag.
No.
He who has the checkered flag gets asked if he won the race.
Mm-hmm.
So I should find that. It's around somewhere. I'll put it up on the wall of crap. So there we are. Anything else? I don't think so. We got, a bunch of action this weekend. Probably see a Gibbs dominate in an ARCA car, assuming he's running it. He's running the 54 this weekend, I think, too.
Ty is, yes.
Yeah. There we go. And I want to say also when Kyle, Victory Lane there, when he thanked all the Gibbs.
Yes, including JD. That was awesome.
Coy and JD. Yep.
Yep.
That was great to see. So, Coy Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's a young Coy as well.
I think so.
Maybe. Or am I mixing up just Kai and Toy? Coy? Ty. That's it. Not Kai and Toy. Whatever. He's been Doug. I've been Ben. We've been presented by Vibraprint. You knew that. It's going across the whole show. Mm-hmm. And until next time, we're NasCanucks.
See you, Marcus.